last payment received. That is just telling us when you get received a payment. It could be yesterday, it could be today. It's ideas. And last two is a balloon. If there's a balloon, we just need to know how much the balloon is and the date of the balloon. It helps us figure out the numbers for us and things like that. The last one is modification. More likely, you guys have never touched modifications, but if the loan is modified, we need to know the date of it and what that new terms are. Interest rate and balance, all that good stuff. If you didn't change interest rate, that's fine, but all that good stuff is there.
That's a question about equity.
That's what we need.
Go for
it. Again, you and I, Dave, have talked,
yes,
extensively about equity, and you're not as concerned with equity as I was. I thought that equity and interest rate were like the biggest things that we needed to look at here. I had a note that had a ton of equity, but that really didn't affect the price of the note.
No,
and why that is, I'm still trying to wrap my head around. I understand that if it goes to foreclosure, you're only entitled to what the, but does the equity reach a certain point where it stops making as much, stops being as much affecting the value of the note?
Give us numbers. Give us an example if you can.
Okay, so I had $150,000 house that I had a note on it for $65,000. That note was worth $55,000, essentially. So I had, $80,000 in equity. The borrower has $80,000 in equity.
Yeah, there's the key.
Right.
But in a situation where the borrower only had like say $20,000 in equity, that wouldn't affect the purchase price, how much you would pay for that note.
I would say this: LTV, loan to value, affects if I'm going to buy it or not. If you're looking at the fact that my loan to value is 90%, I'm going to probably pass on it because of the risk of what's going on in the market. It doesn't affect me with my numbers, because if you're saying $85,000 in equity, I have to foreclose on it, which is stupid for the borrower to have to get foreclosed on a property of equity. When you do that, I go to the auction, I can only collect up to that balance. So even if they have 20%, I still can't get the other 20%. I can collect up to that legal balance, unpaid balance plus corporate advances. I can only collect up to the legal balance. Now, if it's flipped upside down, right, the property worth 50 and the unpaid balance worth 100, we're gonna be bidding based on that value of 50,000. You're not gonna get much because there's no equity. I'm gonna be bidding 40,000, 30,000. And you say, well, there's a lot of unpaid balance here. Well, I can't buy it because if I go to foreclosure, I'm not going to get that money back. That property is not worth that much money, the collateral.
And an investor is probably going to buy that. But if there's, and like you said, you'd pass up on it if there was only $20,000 in equity.
Percentage
if it did go, right, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
If you're looking at, a property that's worth 40, and it was worth 60 and it's for 40, that's a different number than it's worth, 130 and you have 110 note.
So investors like to buy at 75%. So as long as we're sitting around that 75% mark, we feel pretty comfortable about selling.
That number's moving as we go along here with the market, right?
Right.
Look, we said in the last webinar we had, me and Nathan, when we first got started, we didn't look at equity back in 2010 because there was none.
There was never equity. Ever.
Everything was underwater. Yeah. So for us to now play with LTV, it's kind of a new thing for us because nothing had loan to value.
And that's only been true since probably 2018.
Yes.
That's probably the first time that I saw any equity in any loan that I looked at. And I'm like, oh, shoot, what do I do with that? And we had to actually kind of invent and figure out what we're going to do when they did have equity. So the negative equity does not scare us at all.
No.
But just understand we're pricing it on the lower of the two. Either if it's underwater, we're going to base our bid on property value. If there's a lot of equity, we're going to base our bid on the unpaid balance.
So on like Melissa's example, where she has a $100,000 house, the borrower borrowed $140,000, you would probably pay only $60,000 or $70,000 for that note.
If the house is worth 100,
right?
We'd base it off the $100,000.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, there's more numbers, but yes, that's.
Of course, yeah. I'm just trying to be as round as possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
This has
That
been.
makes sense.
Again, I put in the chat, what the link is for the form that you can fill out. If you have assets you're looking to sell, if you have stuff, feel free to use that, fill it out, send it back to us. We did cover most of the stuff in that list. If we have to change anything or update anything, we will let you guys know. But we think this was helpful. If you feel this was helpful and you would like us to do a webinar on how to create a successful note, what would make it more valuable, let us know. We'll work on something for January to make sure you guys can include in that. If you're looking to learn about note buying and understanding our world, reach out to. We have webinars and videos, and we also have a intense advanced course. We're starting back up on January 3rd. It's a huge course about how to buy notes, numbers, figuring out things, what's important, all the systems, all that good stuff.
Dave, can I ask another quick question?
Please.
And this is something that I kind of had saved up. I wanted, and I think you just answered it, but I was wondering about how the market's going to affect like the values of our notes. Is it going to affect them
You're
the
not
same
allowed to
way
ask a
that?
question.
That's kind of been my biggest question lately is how that, and I guess it's just affecting the values of the houses at this point, and then you buy based on the values of the houses.
Yeah. So that's why the LTV comes into play a little bit here, because if we're 75 or 60 or 65, whatever the number we figure in our head, if it adjusts down, we know the fact we have some buffer room. But yeah, that's when it plays in part. But the reason we say you can't ask a question is that's our question for you guys. And maybe you guys are new to our webinars and all that stuff, and those who are still on our Facebook Live. We want to ask you guys a question. Go ahead, Nathan.
Yeah, where do you guys see it? So we've got our world, right, where we're predicting things coming in the future. From the seller finance world, how do you guys see the roller coaster? Where is it going?
For me, I see it as an advantage, because if banks are going to quit lending, we'll continue to lend, and I'm sure Melissa can attest to this, where banks aren't lending to a lot of people, we can lend to them. And we can dang near name our price at that point.
Melissa, what do you think? Where do you see the house market going right now in your world? You see values dropping, staying flat? What are you seeing?
Well, that depends, right? Because I own houses all over North Carolina. There's some where the values are going down. But there are some where the values are still the same as they were. For example, if like my house is at the beach, right? They're not dropping in value.
Mm-hmm.
My house is where I live, like in Hickory, North Carolina. Yeah, they're dropping in value, but they're dropping in value at the same rate they do every time this year.
Gotcha.
So I don't really feel like we're going to know what's going on with this market until like March of next year, where we have a full year to look and see what's happened from last year to this year. Because right now, the values are the same as they would be 3 years ago in December, because they always drop about 20% from late September to February. Right. Then comes springtime, when everybody starts looking for houses and sun is shining and weather is warm, then the values start going back up again. So yeah, all of that being said.
Yeah.
Interesting.
We'd like to hear from outsiders what they see the market or real estate going in the crystal ball 6 months to a year. None of us really know, but we'd like to play that world of that crystal ball idea. But what we really appreciate, you guys having your strength of knowing origination in this world of creating dollars magically in thin air. We were trying to bridge the gap between you guys originating and us buying and making that marriage happen smoothly, so you guys can go ahead and buy more, sell more, buy more, create more. We can talk about parcels. You can sell par payments, but you can also sell a whole loan. And it's more attractive for us. So,
well, great. I need some money, and I have a whole list of notes that you guys can
see.
Excellent.
it's easy like that, right? You literally can sit there and sell us the entire note and get money out. Or, not that it's always the most attractive, but you literally can sell us a part of the payment stream next 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, and keep the back end. That's
Hey,
also available.
David,
So what-
let me ask you guys a
Yeah.
question, and then sort of get a gauge on from your perspective how the correlation to the Fannie Freddie rates and what note originators can make a rate at, how that's going to affect things. So for example, when the APORs were 2.78, we were creating notes consistently at 8, 9. So, we were a little more than a 6-point spread over, and it was very easy to do. And borrowers still could meet DTI and residual income at 8%, 8.5%. Now that the APORs in the conventional market are in the 7s or approaching 7s, to get that same kind of spread now, you'd be looking at HCM loans with rates of around 15, which is next to impossible to get. We're getting them in trailers, but we're not really getting them in stick-built homes. And the percentage of seller financed borrowers that can meet debt to income ratio and residual income at a 15% APR is much lower. So if that trend continues with Fannie and Freddie keeping conventional rates that high, how do you guys see that affecting us all in note creation, and then on your end on note buying?
So for me, we have a certain return we have to get, right? And that return is now increasing based the fact that money is a lot more expensive. So for me, my desired return increases. It used to be here, now I'm up here. So my prices got to change. That's my quick and easy answer for it. Nathan?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens here. Interest rates, inflation, all kinds of things going on in the world. As it makes it more difficult for people to get loans, people like the seller finance crew, they fill a major role. We're at the same time, we're also filling a secondary role. We're more than happy to buy the notes that are coming from the seller finance. At the same time, we're also more than happy to buy the non-performers. So if and when people start defaulting on their loans, those are also very attractive to us. That's both Dave and I, that's our roots, and that's our major thing. So I don't know what kind of pressure is going to be put on to people in general, and where does it all end, and when does it begin? Good question. I don't know, but it's looking interesting.
We did a question on Facebook, and I'm presuming you guys are okay with this. If you're not, let me know. Some people want to have your contact information. I will provide emails only. Are you guys, Melissa, Justin, you guys okay with it? I know Sohal's okay with it. For those who are looking to learn, me reach out to you for some education, all that good stuff. If you're okay with it, I'll share your email addresses. To those who just complete the form, I'll do a quick reply on form responses, and you'll get their information.
Awesome.
I
Well,
put
guys,
mine in there too, because I know, Dave, you got yours on there, but I don't think mine is actually on your site.
Yeah, we forgot that part of it, right? We checked it last night, make sure the form response was adequate. We totally forgot to add Nathan on there. It's in there, but I'll fix the other form as well. I'll make sure, and Nathan gets the responses, the emails for the form as well. So he'll get the email responses, and he can reply to any questions you've got. Justin, Melissa, Sohal, Max, thank you very much for joining us. We're going to cut off the live feed in a second.
Thanks,
but
guys.
stay on for a few minutes before we
Thank you so much.
disconnect. Max, I appreciate it. Your information will be also out there, guys. If you're looking for a servicer to get your things right, reach out to Home Key. If you're looking for someone to underwrite your loans, make sure you reach out to Max, call the underwriter, and he'll make sure everything happens on the up and up. If you have
We'll
questions,
do another one of these. We'll do kind of a follow-up one in January. More about, I think we're going to do more on the origination side.
Yeah.
And
How to make it more attractive, how to make
Yeah.
it legal, making
Yeah.
sure that we have all the stuff needed. So
how to write that so that you can sell it to us at the selling table if you want.
Cool.
awesome.
Great stuff, guys. Thank you.
Hey, thanks.
Thank you.